Isn't it a great day to be a Christian? Open your Bibles to John chapter 15. John chapter 15. Appreciate Dakota for leading. What a friend we have in Jesus. And he probably knew that was what we're going to be talking about tonight. The title of the lesson is A Special Friend Request. Last Sunday night, we started talking about social media and especially Facebook. On Facebook, I looked this afternoon, I have 1,146 friends on Facebook. But most of those people are not really my friends. They're not really somebody that I am very close to. A lot of them are my former students. I mean, we taught school for 42 years in 4 different places. So over the time you make acquaintances, I have friends. Unfortunately, I have some kids that I taught in 6th grade that are in their 50s now. So that's not very comforting, but some are people that maybe their parents are my students that wanted to know what kind of guy it was that was going to be teaching their kids, so they sent me a friend request so they could read up on me, so they could keep up with what I liked, what I didn't like. Since we moved here, I've got several preacher friends on Facebook. The local preachers I became friends with, and then I started getting requests from their preacher friends. And then I started getting some friend requests for preachers in India and Africa. And then they started sending me requests for money to help the churches in India and Africa. So I'm not really sure how close friends we are, but there are a lot of people that I'm acquainted with on Facebook. Some of the people that I'm friends with on Facebook are really my friends. They're the people that I care about, people that I'm close to. Real friendship is a very powerful thing. And Jesus wants to be our friend. Jesus wants us to know how important it is to be a friend. So let's look at that tonight, beginning in John chapter 15 and verse 9. Jesus said, "As the Father hath loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love. If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if you do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call ye not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth, but I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father I've made known unto you. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you that ye should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you. These things I command you, that ye love one another." Saw an interesting story about this lady that they called one of her friends up on the telephone. She started talking. She said, "How are you?" And she said, "I'm just terrible." Said, "My head is splitting wide open. My back hurts. I don't feel like doing anything. The kids are driving me crazy. I don't know what I'm going to do." And she said, "I tell you what." Said, "Just go sit down, lay down, take a nap, get some rest. I'll come over and watch the kids this afternoon. I'll clean the house for you so you don't have to do any of that. In fact, I'll even fix dinner for you and your family. What time does Sam get home from work?" And the lady said, "My husband's name's Bob." And she said, "Oh, I must have dialed the wrong number." And there was this long pause, and the lady that had answered the call said, "Does this mean you're not coming over?" Yeah, that meant she's not coming over because that wasn't really her friend. That's not somebody that she was close to. Friendship is a powerful thing. It'll cause you to do things for some folks that you wouldn't do for people that are not your friends. I remember when I was growing up, it was really important for me to have friends. People 25 and younger today list friends as their most important social group. Church ranked 5th. People above 25 listed church as their most important social group, and work was 2nd place. So friendship, especially church friendship, is a very powerful thing. The Bible agrees with that. Let's look at several examples in the book of Proverbs. Turn over to Proverbs. We'll begin in Proverbs chapter 17. Proverbs 17:17 says, a friend loveth at all times. At all times. There have been some times I didn't like people very much, but they're my friends, and so I still loved them. I still put up with them. Turn over to the next chapter, Proverbs 18, verse 24. The writer there says, a man that hath friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. Turn to Proverbs 27, verse 6. Chapter 27, verse 6 says, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. In other words, if you've got a friend, he'll tell you what's really the truth. He'll tell you what you need to hear, even if it's not something that you want to hear. The wounds of a friend that tells you what's wrong, is more blessing than the kisses of an enemy. And then down in verse 10 of that same chapter, thine own friend and thy father's friend forsake not. Friendship is a powerful thing. We shouldn't forsake our friends. That's why it's no surprise that one of the most popular features on Facebook is friendship. Now, most of you are probably on Facebook. Those of you that are not, Facebook is the most powerful or the most popular social networking place. It's the most popular place for people to get together online. There are almost 3 billion people on Facebook. Mentioned last Sunday night, if Facebook were a country, it'd be the largest country in the world. 36% of the world's population is on Facebook. Facebook's a place where people can share their lives. They can share information with people. They can post pictures of what they had for dinner so that everybody can see. Don't know how important some of the things that appear on there are, but it's a place where you make friends. At least Facebook friends. A friend on Facebook is somebody that you've given permission to see what's on your page. When I post something, if you're my friend, then you can see what I put on Facebook. If other people can write things and put them on my page. The church, we have a Facebook page for the Lawrence Chapel Church. Now, to see what's posted on there, you have to like it. And not everybody has seen it. Not everybody likes it. So usually when I put something on the church Facebook page, I'll share it on my personal page. And that way, 1,100 more people see what's out there. For example, this morning I printed 15 copies of the bulletin that I brought here. There were still a couple left when I came in tonight. There were 356 people that saw the bulletin on Facebook this morning. So it's a way to get things out there, to get information out there. And if you have some friends that you'd like to share that with, that'll be a good way to get the message out. But to be a friend on Facebook, you have to either send an invitation or somebody has to send you an invitation. Average person on Facebook has about 350 friends, but there's some people that have thousands and thousands of friends. But they're not really what you'd call friends. Many of the people I respect, some of them I'd like to get to know, but there are a lot of my friends on Facebook that I've never met and never will meet. Like I said, some of them live in other countries. Saw an illustration of a man standing by the front door of his house. There was this big line of people gathered out there, and they said, "Hi, we're your Facebook friends. We've come over for a visit." Well, that's not ever going to happen. We're not going to see those people in real life. If I had a problem, if I were sick and in the hospital, they wouldn't come to see me. If I was behind on my bills, they're not going to bring me some money. If I have a flat on the way home tonight, I'm not going to be able to call them to come and help me change a tire. They're like the woman that dialed the wrong number. They're not really coming over, are they? No, because they're not really our friends. They're just our acquaintances. They don't know me. They don't know the details of my life. They don't really know who I am. But on Facebook, they're my friends, but they're not really my friends because they don't know me. And that happens sometimes in real life. The people that we call our friends in the flesh, the people we see every day, are not really our friends because they're not always there when we need them. And sometimes they disappoint us or forget us or ignore us. I saw a sermon illustration that was to go along with a sermon like this, and it used the prodigal son. You remember the son that took his father's inheritance and he went off to a foreign country and he wasted it. And then when he had spent all his father's money, then all his friends left him because they weren't really his friends. And I was going to use that tonight, and I started reading it. You know, there's not one mention in that story of the prodigal son having any friends. It said that he wasted his sustenance on riotous living, but it doesn't say he had anybody help him do it. As far as we know, he blew it all on himself. But we don't really need an illustration because we all know somebody like that. We all know somebody that tried to buy friends, and then when they didn't have any money, they didn't have any friends. I read where people say that things like that worried them. They had a poll of what worries you, and one woman said, "Are my friends really my friends? Are there people I can count on if I have a problem? Can I really rely on my friends?" Now, the Bible tells us that Jesus wants to be our friend, and it's really odd when you consider the fact that we didn't make the first move. We didn't say, "Jesus, I want you to be my friend." Jesus sent us the friend request. John 15, verse 16, Jesus said, "Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you." 1 John chapter 4, verse 19, John writes, "We love him because he first loved us." Jesus reached out to us first. Why is that important? Well, on Facebook, normally I don't send out friend requests. Usually if I'm friends with somebody on Facebook, it's because they sent me a friendship request. Why not? Well, I say it's because I don't want to bother people. I don't want to intrude upon them or anything. But probably it's more to the fact that I'm afraid I'll be rejected. I'm afraid they don't want to be my friend. They might turn me down. But Jesus knows exactly what we're like. He knows everything we think, everything we say, everything we do, and he still wants to be our friend, even though a lot of people in the world might consider us not very worthy of friendship. Look at Romans chapter 5. Romans chapter 5, verse 8 says it this way: "But God commendeth his love toward us, in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Much more then, being now justified by his blood, we shall be saved from wrath through him. For if when we were enemies, we were reconciled to God by the death of his Son, much more, being reconciled, we shall be saved by his life." I'll turn to the book of Ephesians. Paul said it this way in Ephesians chapter 2, beginning in verse 4. "But God, who is rich in mercy, for his great love wherewith he loved us, even when we were dead in sins, hath quickened us together with Christ." We were enemies. We were dead in our sins with our lives all messed up. We weren't very nice people. We weren't the kind of people that anybody wanted to be friends with, but God did. In fact, the Bible tells us that God sent us the most important friend request we could ever have. For God so loved the world that he sent Jesus, John 3:16. Now, as I mentioned, the way that we become friends on Facebook is you send a friend request. I looked before I came tonight, and I've got a dozen or so friend requests that so far I've just ignored because I don't know those people. Usually I'll look them up and I'll say, okay, who do they know that I know? Do we have any mutual friends? Are they a member of the church somewhere that saw something on the bulletin? If I don't see anybody that I know, we have two choices. We can confirm, we can delete the request, or we can just ignore it. And these people, so far, I've just chosen to ignore those. Jesus is telling me, I invited you to be my friend. Jesus wants us to accept that invitation. Remember John 15:16, "Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you." Jesus wants us, he's invited us to be his friends. See, that's important because my earthly friends sometimes are going to disappoint me. And if I'm your friend, sometimes I'm going to disappoint you because, frankly, sometimes I'm a little selfish. Sometimes I think of myself before I think of others. If it comes down to you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, well, I'd rather you scratch my back because I like being treated special. I like receiving. I tend to think of myself first But Jesus wasn't that way. Jesus was willing to give his life. And then in John 15:12, he tells us, "This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you." We're supposed to have that same consideration for each other. We don't really know how to love until we have the love of Jesus in our life. Well, how did Jesus love us? Look at the next verse, John 15:13. "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." Now, Jesus literally gave his life for his friends. How many times have I refused to lay down my life, put down the things I'm doing, stop taking care of what I wanted to do in order to do something for my friends? How many times am I willing to lay down the things that are important to me to do something that's important to somebody else? Jesus said we need to follow his example. God knows that the people on this earth are lousy friends, but he wants us to be friends the way that Jesus is friends. I read a story that illustrates this. It was about a high school freshman. It said he was walking home from school one day and he noticed on the other side of the street there was a kid in his class that looked like he was carrying every book that he owned. He had this big stack of books, big tall thing. He was struggling to get it home. And as he was looking, he said, "Who in the world would take home all those books on Friday? It's the weekend. We need to be having fun." He's taking home every book he owns. That's just hilarious. And then these other kids came over and started aggravating the boy with the big load. In fact, they pushed him, knocked over all of his books, knocked him down on the ground. Everything was all scattered. Then they laughed and ran away. So this young man walked across the street, helped him pick up his things, found his glasses for them, put them back on. And he said, "I think you're in my class." Said, "Listen, some friends of mine are getting together for a party tonight. Why don't you come and then go to the football game with us?" And so he did, and they became acquaintances. They became buddies. Over the 4 years of high school, they became good friends. The guy that helped, the boy that lost his books was named Kyle. The guy that helped Kyle said this. He said that as he grew older through the next 4 years, he filled out. He started looking good in those glasses. In fact, he had more dates than I had because all the girls just loved to be around Kyle. I was kind of jealous of him. Graduation time came and Kyle was the valedictorian. He stood up to make his speech and he said this: "Graduation is a time to thank those who helped you make it through those tough years, your parents, your teachers, your siblings, maybe a coach, but mostly your friends. So I'm here to tell you all that being a friend to someone is the best gift you can give them, and let me tell you a story." And he started telling the same story that this friend had told, but his was a little different. He said that I'd come to a point in my life when I was a freshman in high school that I decided life just wasn't worth living anymore. Said, in fact, I cleaned out my locker at school, and I was going to take everything home that I owned because I didn't want my mom to come and have to clean it out after I killed myself. And then a friend found me and picked me up and helped me, and we became close. He said, he saved my life. Now, that story was told by a preacher, and it's a preacher story, so I don't know if it's true or not. I tried to investigate it. I found out that there's a very similar story in the book Chicken Soup for the Soul. Like I said, I don't know if it's true account or if it's a fable, but either way, the reality is the same. There's some people that are really in need of friendship. There's some people that you can see around you that don't have anybody, and they're looking for friends, and a small act of kindness can make all the difference in their life. In that story, Kyle was spared from losing his physical life. We have people around us that are in danger of spending eternity in hell because they need a friend. They need us to be friends. Jesus said in John 15:13, "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." Are we willing to put down things to help out the people around us that need it? Turn to Romans chapter 5. Romans chapter 5, beginning in verse 6, puts it this way: "For when we were yet without strength, in due time Christ died for the ungodly. For scarcely for a righteous man will one die, yet peradventure for a good man some would even dare to die. But God commended his love toward us, that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Jesus died for us so that we could be his friends. And he wants us to share this friendship with other people. He wants us to carry the message. If you're watching this online and you've never obeyed the gospel, you need to be a Christian. It's the only life worth living, the only death one would dare to die. I think everybody gathered here tonight is already a Christian. Are you looking for people that need Jesus? Are there people around you that need you to truly be their friend? Are you willing to lay down what you're doing to go to help somebody else? Or do you need some help tonight? If you do, won't you come forward right now as we stand together, as we sing.